Buddy, happy Thursday. Here in Atlanta, we are preparing for possibly a very destructive ice storm. And I really hope that we don't. I've been taking all the preparations because I think every time that we prepare, nothing happens. So that's what I'm hoping. But as everybody in the community and really all around the state, it's one big, huge map of destructive. They've even labeled it that ice storm. And here in the South, we're not very used to that. So it can be very destructive. We're very hoping that it's not. I'm preparing everything the best that I can. I am here as the man and woman of the house this weekend. So I'm getting to stretch my skills and contribute to the emergency preparedness in a way that I usually am safe from. And as I'm motivated to contribute, it reminds me of a conversation that I've had with at least a dozen leaders recently. How can we motivate our teams to want to contribute? There's the key word, to want to contribute. And this is absolutely a bigger conversation. I've been speaking on it week after week, but here I want today to really narrow the focus on some tangible, tactical, practical tips that you can implement immediately to engage your teams at a better, deeper level and make them want to contribute to the team environment. And you'll when you hear me talk about communication, you hear me talk a lot about pre-work and how most people will jump straight into a message of information of what you need to do. And if we're applying this to teams right now, a lot of times leaders will say, "This is what I need you to do. This is when I need you to do it by." And that that's fine for the past, but in the state of the world that we're living in with all the chaos and all the disruption and all the depression and isolation, like, it is no surprise to anybody listening right now that the world is in a tough place and America is in a tough place. And so we're constantly carrying much more of this stress than we're used to. And so anything that we might think feels like handholding or we didn't have to do with generations prior, okay, but the state of the world is demanding a state of change. And if you want to better engage your teams and make them want to contribute, there are a few things that you can do, starting with understanding that I'm reminded of the quote, I think it's attributed to Teddy Roosevelt. A lot of people attribute it to John Maxwell. Nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care. So instead of just telling them what to do and when, pull back the curtain a bit. Let them know that they are seen and valued and understood. And if they feel like their personal, individualized contribution is valued, well, you're going to get so much more productivity and long term loyalty from each of those team members. And so, the first one, you may be noticing it here as I'm staring into your soul from the screen. I cannot overstate the importance of eye contact. And this used to be very difficult for me. I didn't even like to look at myself in the mirror if I was traveling or at a public restroom and there were other people lined up washing their hands, I would always avoid eye contact because, oh my gosh, what if I made eye contact with somebody in the mirror or they saw me make eye contact with myself? I don't know why I had this phobia, but as somebody who used to be so shy, I know that I'm not alone in it. And we've become a little bit more bubble wrapped in our introvert shells as the generations have progressed. And, I heard a staggering statistic last night that, I need to fact check, somebody fact check me, but a colleague shared that Gen Alpha is almost, I think, 40 or 50% neurodivergent. And, maybe the person who was sharing this kind of went off and was like, it's in our food and it's all, yes, yes, yes. You guys know 10 years ago, 12 years ago, my health journey really started with gut health because of all of the additives that go into our food that kill our gut biome. And our gut is our second brain. And when it's not happy and healthy, well, it's a chain reaction. We don't get the serotonin, so our mood's not great. Our immune system's low. We get brain fog. It is just a horrible ripple effect. So, yes, we could have, I'm sure, very controversial conversations about the other things that contribute to this. But I introduced this idea because it also, you could think that it is an evolution of humanity that we're evolving to be more sensitive because the world needs us to be. We need to be more sensitive, but it's also evolved from technology and being isolated. So, huge conversation, huge can of worms. But the moral of all of it is if we can go all the way back to our human roots and remember that the others in front of us, the people who cut off in traffic, the partner that's on the phone with me when I'm hangry and I'm like, just be nice. All of these people are human beings. And when we can be present, well, that goes so far. So, eye contact is one of the best ways to let them know that you see them and that you're present with them. And this can be as simple as taking a half a beat before you speak, whether it's one on one, you're standing up to share something in a company presentation, or you're out networking, or even, my goodness, Publix. Do you guys have Publix where you are? Publix employs a wide spectrum of people, and they say their tagline is shopping where shopping is a pleasure. I don't know about all of that. I do know that people that work there tend to be very nice. Goodness gracious, are they typically very slow. And for my fast-paced self that's always rushing around wearing way too many hats in this phase of my business, sometimes I have to remember that the person in front of me is a person, and I can slow my roll and patiently wait there with patient energy and just the right amount of eye contact to let them know I appreciate them and I see them. And this example of a grocery store, when I want to rush through something, I typically don't like going to the grocery store at all. Stresses me out, all these mass produced things on shelves, the ways, the fluorescent lights, all the energy going everywhere. I don't like grocery stores. But I've had some of the best experiences lately dropping into presence, working on my patience, and the kicker, making eye contact with those around me. And you can be amazed at how many silent conversations happen through eye contact. You guys have heard me say that only 7% of communication is words. Everything else is tone and body language and energy. And eye contact can convey so much. So that's the first tip that you can implement right now. As soon as you're listening to this, if you're in the car catching this live stream on your way to the grocery store, maybe you're in Atlanta and you're doing some emergency preparedness. I went yesterday. It was going to be Friday evening that I was going to do my 2 week meal plan shopping, and I was like, "If I wait till Friday evening, there's going to be nothing on the shelves." So I went yesterday. If you haven't gotten out there, go contribute, go be motivated, and hopefully we will all be so prepared that no ice storm happens. So we've talked about eye contact, we've talked about presence. I want to talk about how emotion is often greater than information. And again, going back to that quote, nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. So, in communication, often people jump straight into this is what you need to do. And I'm not just talking about leaders in the professional space, consultants and speakers and trainers. I can't tell you how many times I see them start with stats or here's the problem, here's the solution. Okay. But whenever you are leading change, there's going to be resistance from the people who need it. There's barriers up because nobody wants to be told by a relative stranger or a complete stranger that they need to change and they need the change that you're telling them, which subconsciously is like, okay, you're on this pedestal. I'm down here. Who are you to tell me about self care? Who are you to tell me about psychological safety in the workplace? Who are you? Well, maybe you're the boss, but they still get that bristling, oh, big man, ego. You know what I'm talking about? So motivate people to action. I've been talking about this for the better part of a decade. It is what I did when I was in corporate advertising. It is everything I've done in copywriting. How do you use language and words and communication in general to get people to take action, to want to take action? You have to make them feel something first. I have a story framework, STORY, that I put together for my clients who had a hard time remembering the steps of how to tell a strategic story, right? We hear that stories help break down barriers. We hear that stories help drive points home. We hear that stories do a lot of the heavy sales lifting for us. But what if you're somebody with a complex mind? Maybe you're neurodivergent yourself. Maybe you just don't fancy yourself a great communicator. What do we mean when we say a story? What makes the difference between a story that people immediately break down their barriers and trust you with the solution and a story that makes people go, "Can you just get to the point?" Maybe that's how you're feeling today as I'm sharing all of this. I don't know. That story that I told earlier about being hangry, that is here. That is today. Speaking of health challenges, I'm not usually loving to share vulnerably about health challenges until I'm out of them. Tomorrow, I will be doing, I want to say the last, it's probably not the last. This test, my gut is acting up again. Everything I shared, I've been experiencing again about 12 years later. Our guts are our second brain, and it is so important that we take care of our bodies. Little side note, little squirrel, but it is so important because I'm fasting right now and it definitely makes it a lot harder to stay on track. But I wanted to make sure that I come here and share this because I'm hearing so many conversations about people just not being motivated, and I can't just not bring this message here today. The last thing that I want to share with you is that when you make your failures and the lessons that you learned part of the story, well, then you're being strategic in planting that seed of trust. So, I've got three more tips for you on how to make people more engaged, bring out the best of your team, and really get them to feel motivated to contribute. But we will talk about those next week because I get to go contribute to the emergency preparedness even more by bringing in some firewood before it gets, well, hopefully not too rained on. I was supposed to do that before the rain came. But that started at about 11 o'clock last night. So, anybody watching this, anybody tuning in, please send all of your prayers to Atlanta and the state of Georgia that we do not get crippling ice storms because our infrastructure just cannot handle it. So, I'm going to sign off and leave you with that. Let me know in the comments which was your favorite tip, which one was most surprising. Do you do all of these and you're still struggling? Well, if so, I've got more advanced tips that we can get into one on one. Send me a message, send me a DM. I will talk about this till the sun rises. I love this topic of conversation, how to bring out the best in people, how to enable change, how to use your voice and your communication to make the world a better place. So I'm Christy. And if you guys enjoyed this, make sure that you subscribe to the LinkedIn newsletter that accompanies it or my YouTube channel, wherever you're watching from.